Okay, great. So I'll just go over 3 games in sequence. And if you have any questions, feel free to just stop me at any time. So in this game, the opening Joseki is interesting. Black made the attachment on the outside, but this is a small mistake. Black should attach from the 3-3. And we can see in the game example, white gets the entire corner while black's shape on the outside is not very strong. We cannot consider this a real wall because there's still a very obvious weak cutting point at A. This is almost like white getting ahead of 2 stones. And the Hane here right now doesn't really threaten the corner that much. So black not only gets the gote, white ends up with all the territory. So this is not a good result for black. So black should just play the normal Joseki through this 3-3 attach. And then wedge. There are a lot of possibilities here. Okay, nothing too notable here. This choice locally entails a small loss for white. Generally, white has to block. And then black has the option of cutting here or double hane, both of which leads to black taking a little bit of influence on the outside. But white can still try to escape this stone to fight. Or black ladders. Let's see. Does the ladder work? I don't think the ladder works right now. So white has the option of escaping this stone. So normally, if black wants to get the shape in the game, like this, black has double hane here. And notice compared to the game, white gains an extra stone at A. This looked like a small difference, but it is enough to make this exchange acceptable for white. So actually, unless there's some special situation, black wouldn't play like this in most games. It's possible if the right side is not very valuable, which in this game it isn't. But it will be more of a situational move than in general. And the difference between that and this is because white's a little weaker here. So without the stone A, white could run into more life and death issues. And now I keep saying white should block here, and white in the game white Tanuki. So this is a mistake by white. Capturing the 3 stones is very big. First, it secures the entire corner. So now whoever controls these 3 stones will have a live base. And now the 3 stones here are just floating. So this is not a good result for white. I think black should take this chance to immediately capture the 3 stones. So white probably needs another move on the right side. And black gets to Sente to attack. Even if white tries to make a base in the top, black can take initiative to attack the right side. For example, black can pretty much invade anywhere. Maybe here to attack the 3 stones, or potentially a little bit closer to the middle to put pressure on the bottom right stone. And now this also indirectly attacks the 3 stones. I think in this way, white's immediately in trouble. So the game's something similar. Black invades immediately, but the 3 stones here is still too important. White should come back here. If black tries to kill most of the corner with the Kasumi, white can just sacrifice that for now and come back to it later. Maybe play on the top side. So notice after white saves the 3 stones here, white has a nice peep at 5. And there's a possibility that the black corner later would not be alive, this whole black group. So that's why the 3 stones are so important for life thickness and life and death. This move is interesting. I see the appeal of taking away white's base. But there are two directions right now. One is somewhere along here, and two is capturing a B. And as I mentioned earlier, capturing here is the more urgent move. And locally, this move is good because it puts a lot of pressure on white. White just can't really make expand eye space on the second line. But right now, white also has some moves along around here. So this stone might be a little bit, this move might be a little too aggressive. Yeah, for example, white can cut, and in a lot of situations, black have to push here. Or even at the very least, white has a few sentient moves around here. And if white stage mounts a counterattack, it's unclear if black can really handle this. So I think the idea is good, but I think in this situation, black is not strong enough to play such an aggressive move. I think a normal move around here or just here will be okay. Just put pressure on white while trying to help the stone at R7. So here, really, all white needs to do is either turn or just make a base here. This move S10 by itself is not very valuable. Even if black were to play another move, uh, black is still not alive. And that second line jump is not really valuable. Black barely has 5 points in the area after two moves. So this move was, I think, white is also rushing a little bit. White should be a little more patient here. Shape-wise, black wants to jump here because this also creates some Aji. Black can potentially save this stone later. I think here is where white really fell apart. So basically, black trying to seal white. There are opportunities to fight, but all white needs to do is still blocking here is the most important. If black reinforces the outside, white can at least live in the corner first. This is a good idea. I think black should have blocked. Should continue to try to seal white in. In the game, black extended here, but this is really not urgent. White made a small mistake earlier by committing to these moves, but the focus of the game is still should be on on this group. This Kosumi was a big mistake because it gives black a lot more liberties. Later, white would want to use liberty shortage, something like this to save the two stones. So at this point, if black has a stone here, let's just say, white can most likely save the two stones back. But after the Kosumi exchange, it becomes a lot harder. And it also doesn't do anything for white. Locally, white will want to use this move to potentially invade the corner or something like this. Yeah, and white just needs to play normal moves here and potentially and then save the corner. I guess at this point, jumping could be better. So white committed several moves, three in a row to try to block black, but black was still able to push through here. So essentially, white's shape here is broken, and this is not a very successful approach for white. And this group is still kind of weak. So white is much better off just either escaping here or turning or living locally. And from Black's perspective, there's also no reason to respond because White still needs to move on around here, but Black can connect underneath anytime. And also, these three stones are not that important on the grand scheme of things. If White were to capture these, Black captures can capture a much bigger group. So in fighting, it's important to keep track which groups are in danger. Sometimes you can, very often you should tenuki to your opponent's forcing moves because they are not actually sente at the moment. Yeah, so this extension is a little bit puzzling. Maybe black was trying to, let's see who was black. Sir Phil. Is one of the players still here? Philip Cizak? Oh, there's a message in chat. Oh, Philip is here. Were you black or white in the game? You're black. So what's your idea here? Were you considering both push possibilities? Right now, the obvious move is here and here. In the game, I think you kind of got lucky that white connected on the wrong side. But had white pushed out here, I think it would be a lot harder to manage. So it looks like black captured some. So these four zones are basically dead. But as I said earlier, the main group should be on this group. That should be the focus. So right now, if white saves a corner, white is almost alive. And notice all of a sudden, this group is not completely settled. And all black got was maybe 10 points on this side. But earlier, white made a push here. So the bottom right corner is a little weakened. So the key move here would actually still be to capture the corner. And notice now black pawn is very strong. Even if white were to capture this stone, white's group is still not completely alive. And here, black should definitely turn. So if white wants to connect, black can happily capture two stones. It looks maybe you were worried that there's something here, but notice black has a lot of liberty. So if black just, I don't know, keep pushing and cutting, this will not be, white will not be able to handle this fight. See, white has to protect the cut here, and then you can capture more stones. And if white were to protect this side, you can, this semi-I was definitely better for black. And here, notice you can Atari once. So either way, black can escape. And if you don't want to read that far, you can live with this wedge. Although that could damage the corner. Yeah, maybe best is to like Atari and then wedge. So then white can no longer capture. You can Atari here. White Atari's here, and then you can connect. And then you got most of the right side. So in the game, white made the last unfortunate mistake. Um, this is a fatal move. White should keep pushing, and just like before, black captures some stone, but they're more or less useless, and there's still some bad aji, while white can attack the corner. Yeah, these six stones are only worth 12 points, and honestly, these three alone are more than 12. And black still hasn't captured the six stones in full yet, because there's a possibility for white to escape here later. So something you have to be aware of. Unfortunately for white, in the game, white jumped here, and the side group just died. So the game is suddenly ending. Yeah, do you have any questions or anything you want to else you want to address in the game? If not, we go and just move on to the other two games, which are a little longer. All right, cool. We'll just move on to the next game. Colton versus Taylor, and I see Taylor is still here, so let's get to that. Looks like Taylor was white. So pretty op normal opening. This is pretty normal. I think nowadays fewer players will play a pincer, but that's not really more of a preference thing. Not doesn't make a huge difference. The first comment I'll make is about this peep. So black just wanted to make the Q7 jump, and there's no reason to peep first. Black can just play here directly. If white pushes, black can either block or just go back. There's no connection issues. If white tries to cut, then black can simply push cut. The local fight here is not good for white. Just something to know. This peep loses a lot of Aji and points on the left side because normally black will want to peep on this side, and now this makes white shape heavier, and it's harder now for white to expand on this and on the left. Yeah, and notice as the game progressed, this zone is just pretty useless, and black almost wasted a move at B. In the normal situation, black can get this peep in center, and then black's next move will be much more efficient. So some opening small mistake. This extension just seemed a little slow. I think I'll recommend black to jump out here, Kama, or even just jump up. Why would have to be careful about this honey? Because black can cut. Let's say white gets the Sente extension. Now white is still separated into two groups, and there are no good ways to settle both at the same time. At the very least, black can seal one group, and white will struggle to make two eyes. So black can profit here. Most likely, white will have to extend, in which case, black can Tenuki again, or a jump here. The point on the right side is not very big. If we notice, white spent two moves here and maybe destroyed what, like, um, white destroyed maybe 10 points. So it's not a lot. All right, Taylor, I see that. We'll get to all of that. So fast forward a little bit. So this is fairly normal stuff. I think this bump, it's a little bit risky because black's two stones still need some help. I'll reinforce these two stones. So the first mistake for white, I think, is this jump. It's a little passive. So notice you already have so many stones, like a kind of a wall here and then three stones here. So this is now time for white to attack the two black stones. I think in general, in this type of shape, starting with a peep is not bad because it limits black's mobility once you play some sort of cap move. Notice if you play a jump first, when black has more room to escape. But after the peep, it's harder for black to escape because the stone at one can really help. It helps white cut off black's escape route. So I don't know if black can connect here. This will lead to some ugly fight. But it seemed like white should be favored here. This is an opportunity for white to attack severely. So white kind of misses a good chance, but the game is still balanced. I think black should jump here. So when you escape or just in fighting, you should aim to threaten your opponent's weakest group. And at this point, white is not alive on the right side. So of course, black should play closer to the group on the right. And notice as white keeps running out, black can also keep jumping. White's move here are all dame. We cannot say how valuable these jumps are, but they're definitely better than 0 points because they're still outside facing. These jumps will project influence in this direction, whereas white stones are literally in between two walls, so they don't do anything. And as mentioned earlier, the black still has most of the points on the right side. So the 2 and 4 jump maybe affects some points here, but that could be in the neighborhood of like 5, 6 points. Yeah, so in this night, white got this jump. Now suddenly the thickness reverses. Black will make more dominant moves. We can imagine a scenario where black has to make a few moves to connect to the left side, while white gets some move in the center. So in this situation, black's moves is inefficient because it's caught between a light group here and then a center wall, while white's jumps, white stones will exert influence in the top. So black tenuki here, which is I guess interesting. Maybe black sense that black cannot play so passively in the bottom. But it's definitely an opportunity for white to mount the first attack. It's not easy for black to make two eyes in the bottom. At least it will be quite painful. It's possible, but white can get a very nice seal. And at some point, it might even damage the right side, for example, in like this situation. So I think if white can make an exchange first, that would be favorable. Like get a Sente seal. I think black would probably play something like this and then come back. Now the game would be very much in white's favor. I mean, this move is fine too, but they still give black some chance potentially to um, control the center. If white can seal and Sente, there's no reason not to do it. Especially because moves in the bottom, like A and B, they're not super big. It's not like there's some big endgame moves in the side that white wants to get later. Okay, so this is another interesting move. I think backing off is the second mistake that I will want to point out for white. When you see attachment, there are of course four responses that we can think of. It's either both extensions and then two hane. And the general rule of thumb, I would say, is you want to hane. If you can hane, there's no reason to extend because you start with the local advantage. I guess when you are trying to attack. In general, the upper hane is the most severe if it works, and followed by maybe extension. Most of the time, you don't want to extend down. Sometimes you hane in the bottom to get points, but extending back is usually not the best move, or it's just kind of passive because now black gets a nice jump, and white's framework is disrupted. Okay, going back to this hane. This hane is most severe is because it drags the entire black group in. And if this stone dies, then black loses a lot of points. This is different from the bottom hane, where black can try to make some aji here. And even if the L17 stone dies, it's not a big deal because it's a stone on the third line and black can potentially just do a light reduction. Now this stone makes black stone, this move makes black stone very heavy. And one thing you have to read is the extension and the hane. If black extends, which probably usually the case, you can just descend. And notice in this shape, a black group is pretty heavy, and white can have a nice attack. It looks like white lost a little bit of points here, but the territory was not fully complete anyways. So white is happy to trade that little bit of points into a center influence, plus having a weak black group to attack. So in general, this situation will be good for white, especially when white has a thicker position globally. This will not be good for white if this group will be in danger once black has these exchanges. But that's clearly not the case here. And this Hane would be more interesting, I would say. And now the question becomes whether white wants to just take the side or maybe attack the whole group. And that will involve a little more reading. It's usually not easy to kill this type of group, but it's possible that even if black lives, white is still good enough. In this specific situation, I think there's no reason why white would let black live like this because the center is not that big. A safer choice would definitely be just to Atari and try to profit on the side. Or if black Hanes first, then maybe something like this. So this might be considered a success for black because black Panuki the stone and do the life reduction. But white still got some points on the top. If white is not satisfied with this result, then maybe white will have to consider connecting. This move is better than Ataring first because it makes black shape a little heavier. And now white can potentially use forcing moves against the corner. Yeah, just moves like these. Dude, this could put pressure on the black group. Or even just ignore that and then just jump directly. Yeah, if that seemed risky, I would still recommend the bottom Hane before we think about the extension. I think this just loses initiative locally for no good reason. Yeah, Hane bottom Hane could also work. So black does destroy some territory, but I think in this game, white is still clearly in the attacking position. And it's not easy for the two groups to connect. For example, white will jump here. And now if black try to save this group, then I think the bottom group will be in trouble. And let alone the connection here is still a little weak. So something to think about here. Yeah, turning here was a big mistake. Black should just block down immediately. So this creates a lot of room for black to sabaki. And white potentially has some liberty shortage. For example, just moves like this, and then with this like Hane and second line Tiger Smile or connection. There is some Aji here that white has to be careful about. And so turning is just always an Aji Keshi move. There's no reason to turn. I think this Hane was the result was good for white, but it's a little risky. I think black should have seized the chance to cut. As mentioned earlier, black shape on the right is both very strong and very small. So black doesn't care, wouldn't mind if white destroys some territory. But if white's shape is weakened, then black could potentially be in the attacking position. So be careful here. I think the proper move would just be to came up. Directionally, as long as white's connected, black is in deep trouble here because this group is not a settle, and as well as this group. Interesting. So black Tenuki here locally, which allow white to get the turn. I think this is very good for white. Black really struggled in the top right, top left. This turn, I was a little bit confused by it. A lot of time black can make this um clamp exchange. If white descend, the Aji is already really bad. And now black is actually alive locally because of this Sente. So most of the time white has to connect and then black can live. This Hane, even if you white respond like in the game, black is still fine. Oh no, white, that doesn't gain black any points. And actually, I'm wondering if white can just go for the kill. Because the black Ataris, there's no escape route here. Black cannot make another eye in this area. So in that case, maybe black has to resort to a ko. So this will be a Seki. White push throws in here, black can play here. This will be alive. But white can play here, and this will be a ko. This will be a ko. So something to think about. So this is a mistake for black. As later in the game, white made a Seki or a Sekiko here later. So the problem would just be the jump. That would prevent all the trouble. The game's a little longer, so I think I'll fast forward a little bit. Here, white just got the corner. That's all really good. I think white's better off just to connecting. White tried to play something fancy here, but that I think backfired. Yeah, at this point, this white made the almost a fatal mistake of just playing this move instead of Atari first. It's okay for black to live here locally, but having that turn Atari turn or turn Atari will weaken black center, and white can still attack further. Later, very unfortunate that the center's force zone just died, and the game was basically reversed. I think both sides missed the bottom. There's some big moves here. And also on the right side. Now that black center is very strong, white's right side is now not looking very good. For example, a push cut. White is separated. Yeah, so black made a lot of mistakes in the end. And I'll just look at the top left corner because I think something very strange happened here. So connecting, so white made a Seki here. That's no problem. But how big is this move? Before black has as at most 6 points. So if you do a Seki, that's only 6. But actually it's 1 point less because now black can make this Sente Atari here. So it's only 5. And there are clearly many moves bigger than 5 points. So why should I save this for much later? And connecting here, maybe white an Atari here was a big mistake for black. Black could have Tanuki. But unfortunately, connecting here was equally a big mistake. Why should just take the liberty, and now this will become a call. And as we saw later, black should just take. So now this corner is completely alive. White just lost a lot of points here. Tanuking here is a little risky because white can come back, and now this is back to being a ko. And this is not like a bend for ko, because if black doesn't respond, white can force black to start this ko. Otherwise, the corner is dead. So I think after the blunder, trading some blunders, the game just became better for white again. And especially at the end, I wasn't sure. I think Oh, I guess something happened. Something happened in the center. Let's see exactly what happened. I think white is fine, just saving part of the stone. There's no reason to clamp. Oh, and this could be one of the blunders that you're referring to. Yeah.
J9, this move for me was a misclick. I meant to connect, but then black messed up worse. So worked out for me.
I guess the maybe something more normal would be pushing here and then connecting, and then you can do something else. But black just kind of forgot, and then oops. Hmm? Oh, and even worse, black ended up in Gote. Yeah, so the game just ended from this. And the last thing I'll say, I don't know if this Hane really help you at all. It's not a very big move. Yeah, now would be a great time to to do the thing on the right side. There's some Libby shortage.
Played until later when I noticed that I played it.
Oh, it's good though. I see you found it later. Here, I wonder if there's a better move. Well, I guess both sides just forgot about the ko on the top left. So that's why there's a lot of fluctuation. Yeah, like at this small endgame stage, this ko will be devastating. And it's actually a direct ko. It's not like black and Tenuki. So it only takes this one move. So yeah, do you have any final questions? Otherwise, we will move on to the last game.
No questions. Thank you very much.
Awesome. So last but not least, Alec versus Robert. Okay, this game was also very interesting, especially the end game, I would say. So normal splitting the side, no problem there. This attach, I think, doesn't synergize well with the first split. I think white's better off just playing the approach. So black has tried to separate white, which is the right idea. But here blocking was the wrong direction. Black already has a stone at 017, so black can actually descend. This will be a very difficult situation for white. It's actually not even easy for white to live locally. This is locally dead, but black might just fix the shape, the cutting point, and allow white to live. But still, black's outside is very, very thick. This would not be good for white. And also white only has 6 points in the corner. It's a fairly small corner considering what happened in the game. So now white has a very standard, almost 10-point corner. And notice this stone is now kind of awkward. So that's why this is not a good result for black. Here, jumping, extending, I guess these are normal exchanges, but pushing is a little bit, I would say it's an overplay. Black can just block here, and now white has a weak group, while black can first profit in the corner. Black already got close to 10 points from these two moves, and white is still weak in the center. So a lighter way to play it would be simply to Tenuki. It seemed big to give up this zone, but just notice what type of endgame is left for white. White can wedge and then jump. So compared to the game result, this is already like close to a 10, 15 point swing on the side. So giving up the center zone isn't really a big deal, especially because as white plays from the bottom, more naturally, white would just go into the center. Just that's a very simple example. Like at some point, if white escape toward this side, maybe black will only control the right side on a smaller scale, and the Q10 zone will only amount to maybe around 10 points. So directionally, white should play in the center, not on the side. Even if white wants to save this zone, it's better to play something light. Blocking blocking or pushing is not urgent. So unfortunately, black tiger's mouth um tiger's mouth on the wrong side. This allows white to turn in sente, which white is very happy to. And notice even this block is kind of sente because this then white has a follow up to connect back. So this makes white's shape a lot stronger, and that's definitely a big loss for black. So this is the right shape. Not only does it eliminate all the I shape on the side, it also puts pressure on the corner, which creates a Sente Hane connect. I think a lot of people will underestimate how big this type of exchanges are. Black already got at least a Komi, while white gains are very hard to see. So move on to the main fight. This move is fine. Black extension. I think I'll prefer black to play a few more moves here. If white plays some normal moves, then black can very happily expand the bottom right. This for this Moyo, it become territory, will have very, very high efficiency. So maybe white will invade, and in that case, black can try to form either a dual attack between this group and whatever happens here. And these moves are mostly for free. Black gets a nice exchange. The one even one Kema will create a lot of potential, while the white jump is basically only for self-reinforcement. So jumping here is the right idea, but a more aggressive move here locally, this is just for shape purposes, would be something along this Kema, or maybe just directly the shoulder hit or some sort of attachment. Jumping is a little bit slack because if black Tanuki here, there's not a good follow-up. Black can most likely still connect back. Whereas if you play the Kema, you're putting immediate pressure on black. So for example, in this case, white very naturally goes into black's influence, and then maybe white can fix shape here. There's still some bad aji in the corner that white might be able to exploit later. And now black's shape is all flat. This will be an acceptable reduction. I always say black should focus more on the corner rather than this move. So same as before, if you can push here directly, this is the same mistake as the last game, similar shape. If you can push here, black has to extend. There's no reason to push first because then you lose all the aji on the second line, on the other side. This is a very important technique to remember. And here, I think the shape is a little off for both. Actually, white can afford to give up the 3 stones if black can transfer over to this side. And I think this, I'm not sure if black can handle this. There seems to be some liberty shortage. So if white can capture this zone, then sacrificing the force on the right is not a big deal. So here's black's chance to capture. So the difference here is maybe white can still capture this zone, but the difference is now white lost a lot more zones here. So capturing would be the proper move. The problem with extending is it didn't fix the liberty shortage issue, and it gives white potential to play something like this later. Of course, white has to fix a cutting point. In the game, white connected here, which was a big mistake. White should have connected on the other side because of liberty shortage issues here. So notice if white connects here, then white can cut or connect. There are no problem with this cutting point, at least for the time being. In the game, when white connected in black turn, white suddenly doesn't have a follow-up because of the liberty shortage. So white can only extend. And in the game, black started unfavorable fight with the peep, but black should just keep pushing. And it's possible now that all of this becomes black's territory, which is a disastrous result for white. I think here black maybe got a little too bloodthirsty. We just have to remember about the objective of fighting. Black started out with a moyo kind of on the bottom right. So if black can get basically everything, then there's no reason to play even more aggressively. And also, black has to take care of his own weaknesses first. There are two clear weaknesses. One is this cutting point, and the two is the fact that black hasn't captured that B yet. So pushing here would help address both. Peeping is locally the vital point, but at this point, white is not in such dire danger that white will fix. This is just too passive. White played a fancy move here, but actually this cut is just not important. White should turn here. And let's say black cuts, which is I think what white was afraid of. White can just simply transfer to this side. And now black is faced with a choice. If black cuts here, white can cut. This will become a ko for the entire group. And it will be really scary. And if black doesn't want to start the ko, black has to back off. And actually, white's group is still not dead yet. White can attach here. It's hard for black to really kill the group on the right. And white already profited after taking the stone. So in reality, black cannot cut at 2. This doesn't do anything. That will simply be a close to dominate move. Which is why the earlier peep was not an effective move. So this gives black a chance to come back, but unfortunately, black continued playing the wrong direction. And I think the game was basically decided when these zones died. Again, black was baited into cutting, but actually the 4 zones, the 4 black zones just died. Yeah, there isn't even any Aji here. So they're just that black can get a Sente push, but that's about it. Compared to earlier, this is just a random 15-20 point loss out of nowhere. Like maybe 15-point loss. So black came back to the bottom, but that misses the vital point in the turn. So now if white gets to some forcing moves around here, white can easily seal to this side. And white has maybe like an 80-point moyo on the left. That just dwarfs whatever black can make in the bottom right. I think the last pointer is about this wedge. When you can extend and you're not afraid of black connecting, there's no reason to wedge. It takes away one more liberty. And notice if black extends, white can most likely push again in Sente. Whereas if black plays here, this move will probably be Gote. However, white gains an extra liberty at A. It could be very significant in the center fight later. This wedge kind of gets the worst of both worlds. So white lost the liberty, white got Gote because now black can Tanuki locally. So shape-wise, I think as we improve, especially from like strong SDK to Don, a lot of it is just have good habits with playing good shape. And playing in extension instead of the wedge is certainly something to keep in mind going forward. Yeah, and black tried to do something here didn't really make a whole lot of sense. Capturing here is a bit passive. White can either connect here or just jump. Um, yeah, honestly, this does like letting these zones escape doesn't really matter as long as white can capture these zones. So for example, if jump do this, jump kind of a seal, black can technically live escape like this. But notice black only save a couple stones while white got a Sende Panuki, and now white can still control the outside. So black's gain is very minimal. Oh yeah, so I think the game just basically continue to evolve in white's favor. White should block. And notice even if black get live in the corner, like this influence, this is a perfect synergy for white. This block will be Goten. It's only an endgame move. There's no reason why black should capture here versus invade. So there's some back and forth later, but basically white controlled the game throughout. Something really interesting was in the very end, black actually caught up to almost within a Komi because white plays some slack moves. But black plays some really interesting, just kind of suicidal moves that lost a lot of points. For example, this push plus this cut lost almost a Komi. It's hard to imagine why black would make moves like this. Maybe it's because it's a ko, but for ko thread, but at this point, black can already capture the ko back. Yeah, so one of the players here, I would love to know. And at the end, something even crazier was black played this connection. There's absolutely no need to, and there's still big endgames left. And then black did that again by connecting here, and then again by connecting here. Black should at least that's a 1 point move. Black should at least take the Hane connect. And later white won by about 20 points. So I've walked through all three games and we have a few minutes left. Do we have questions on any of them? On the last one? Then maybe we can go through something from previous games. If not, then we can just end it here and good luck to everyone in the next round. Yeah, thank you all for coming.